recording. Just for folks who are just joining, we have just started the meeting. We approved our minutes of September 29th, 2025, and I am sorry I forgot to press the record button. We are now going to have Kat Barome joining live, presenting the new revision of the Fort Independence Playground redesign. Take it away, Capital Projects Division.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Tom will be the designer will be presenting.
Sorry, I'm Tom Balsley of SWA Balsley. We are the design consultants on the project, and I'm joined with Xiaoying. Xiaoying has the cursor control, so I'm going to have to talk about things, and she's going to have to figure out where I'm discussing it. But what I've been told is to just concentrate on the comments that we received in the last meeting, and to point out to you how we've addressed and responded to those comments and addressed those comments and incorporated them into this new revised schematic plan that you're seeing here. So I will start with comments that aren't necessarily in the order you gave them, but as we've written them down. One comment was, it was a very important thing for us to hear, because sometimes we forget how some of these spaces can be serving multiple purposes for the community, not just play. And I think there was a comment about there doesn't seem to be an area where there could be a birthday party or something like that, and not a wide enough paved area. We explored different ways, different places that we could do that. And in the end, we chose this nice cubby area with some benches, some tables and chairs, and we put what was the toddler play equipment that was there. We brought that over and let it become part of the 2 to 5 play area.
So Tom, I'm gonna stop you for a moment.
Oh,
I think
okay,
Xiaoying is presenting the wrong slide. This is the original plan.
Oh.
And there's no cursor moving over the area where the birthday party would be.
She actually circled it in pink, the areas that he's referring to.
So why don't how about I'll point. Can you see where I'm pointing?
Point again, let me see.
Can you see this?
No, and then this is the current plan. So
yeah,
this is the latest one.
No, this is got the low shrub planting in the area where the
Tom, I think that's related to the
gathering area.
Yes, so that's related to the Kate, your comment originally we proposed here. And then we switch to here. So Tom, if you want to take it away.
We did originally propose it where Xiaoying just circled. We thought that might be a good place for it, but the arborists at Parks have reminded us that those particular trees have a critical root zone that wouldn't be able to take that kind of an increased impervious paved area. So we decided to move things around a little bit and provide a nice social area where Xiaoying has now circled it, where the small toddler area was going to be, and we've moved the small toddler equipment, if you will, over and it's part of what was a larger 2 to 5 play area. And that way we have toddler equipment there. It's close to the water play as well. And it will have the lower toddler kind of tables and chairs equipment together with the table and chair set for adults. So we thought this was going to be a much nicer place to have a party that's somewhat separate and not necessarily close to the entrance where there's a lot of coming and going. So that was our first response to that question, or our response to that first question. If there are any, well, I'll go through this and then I'll take questions. So I guess we'll do it that way. So also there was a concern that some of the paths seemed a little too narrow. So we've widened access ways. We widened that entrance path that Xiaoying is now showing you with an arrow. It was 9 feet. It's now 12 feet wide. And we've widened pathways around toward that social area as well. So we have I think we have a much more free-moving pavement for people that just wander around or toddlers to play, ride their bikes.
So a question, you moved the toddler play area, I'm sorry, we cut out, so that may have
Oh.
seemed like we didn't have any questions. So you moved the toddler play area, so it's more centralized in the center of the park.
Yes.
Did we lose any, other, playground equipment, or is it
No.
just, that center part is just low?
No, we were kind of attracted to that area for two reasons, because it is central and close to the water play, but also the amount of space we had for the 2 to 5 was generous, and we found that it was generous enough that we could get the toddler play in there as well. So there has been no loss to the 2 to 5 equipment.
So I'm sorry, Tommy, cut out again. It's the same, it's roughly the same size. We didn't lose any equipment?
No, we did not. No.
Okay, great. And then the flagpole was moved as well, right?
That's right. I'm going to come around to that part of the presentation where we've responded to the public restroom building and its location and how we could make it feel like it's more part of the park structure itself. So we've created planting around the 3 sides. There was a request if we could add planting around it, and we've gotten permission that we can do that. And so that what was the flagpole area will now be low planting, but it will help lower medium-sized planting, but it will help buffer the impact that restroom might have had on the streetscape view. I will remind everyone that the view up through the entrance is now unobstructed toward the knoll and the reservoir beyond. So we think that's maybe the primary view, and I think that's another good case in our minds anyway for moving the public restroom where we have. But now it's
Tom,
not.
I'm sorry you cut out. Would you mind? I'm sorry for that. Would you mind just saying why, once again, just restating your rationale for why the planting area in the restroom?
Yes, there were comments about if the restroom was going to be there, it would feel like a sort of a impacted view from the streetscape. And then there was a request from the community that could we add planting back there to help buffer that building, and we have done that. I'm not sure why I'm cutting out. I hope you heard all that.
I'm sure it's us, so you should not apologize.
Okay. Did you hear it all? I'm happy.
Yes, that part we heard. Thank you.
Okay, great. So another comment was now we have more planting around the public restroom, as well as that area that we thought we might want to take for the social, let's call it the birthday zone. So we have a even more impervious pavement here, and we're happy about that. And the flagpole's got itself centered on the new public restroom. It'll be in some planting areas. There'll still be a bench there. There'll be a little passage area so one can get to the flagpole if one needs to, but it wouldn't be gathering around the flagpole as much as it would be a little bit more front and center within that open space. And
can I ask you, so Tom, kids play around the flagpole a lot? Like, then, they like to do their spinning around flagpoles, as kids do. Is there a world where we don't need the extra plantings and we can just let the kids play on the flagpole?
Yes, that world exists. And if that's the preference as opposed to the planting, I think as long as Tara and company agree, we could translate that into a paved area instead.
I think that would be fine. We're definitely adding a lot more permeable surface. So I don't think we need that for the stormwater permitting.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, I say that just because every time anybody's mentioned the flagpole, they've mentioned the children playing around the flagpole. So I'd love to make sure that continues for sure. So thank you for that.
Sure. Those were the big comments we received. We could go through and take a look at the close-ups, but I think it was suggested that we show you the schematic plan and show you how we've responded to your comments. Are there any others that anyone made that I've left out?
If I could jump
there
in,
was,
oh, go ahead.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, Tara.
I
Did
was just
interrupt?
going to say, I know one other big comment was about the planting itself and to use native planting.
Oh,
And
yes.
I know we've revised the plant palette accordingly.
Right.
Thank you for
And then
that.
I had also shared the amount of swings and the benches and that you guys were gonna have in the design. Because I know that was another question.
Yeah, currently there's, I think 4 or 5 baby bucket seats, and so there was a request to kind of maintain the same number of baby bucket seats. And then more shade trees on the hill, currently that hill doesn't have any trees or it just has a few. And so just planting more shade trees, more benches, and then the park is called locally Pigeon Park. And so integrating some sort of pigeon design into the playground equipment or the mats or something was something that we thought would be nice, a nice touch that would personalize it. So
And that, Tom, and Xiaoying, I don't think we had mentioned that to you yet, but that's something we did discuss internally, and we can definitely look into, doing something with the pigeons on the play panels. I don't think the safety surface mats, none of the companies that meet the standards that we need do any kind of custom graphics. So I don't think that would be possible, but I think incorporating it into the play panels is definitely something we'll look into.
Okay, I like that. I like
Right.
that.
yeah, that'd be wonderful. I
Yeah.
think that would really delight people for
Right.
sure.
The
And
one
one
I-
other thing, oh, go ahead.
I
No,
do
go
remember
ahead.
another comment about could there be a little bit more seating and benches around the
Benches.
play areas, and we did
Yeah.
add some benches up to the northern area, and there will
Mhm.
now be more benches, I think, along this southern edge, the new planting edge. So I think we've increased the benches a little bit too in response to that question.
Right.
the request.
So now that the birthday party area is kind of further back from the entrance, I know one of the things that came up in feedback was that, we have a lot of seniors and they come down Sedgwick and they come in the gate, and right now they sit or they go into the existing birthday party area, which is where the low shrub plantings are right near the door, has right near the gate, has benches on both sides. And so the seniors come in and they sit there because it's the closest place that they can sit. Right now, it looks like the benches I assume you're preserving the benches along the main walkway, so there'll
Yes.
still be those benches, but then otherwise the first benches is that row of 3 that you highlighted, right?
Yes. You mean the main walkway that we widened?
I think the one around the reservoir, that's kind of outside of our project scope.
Oh,
We
yes,
won't be-
yes,
Those
yes.
benches will be
Shoot.
staying.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So you froze again. What did you say?
I was
The
trying to-
benches,
Go ahead,
the benches
go ahead.
along the main path along the reservoir, those are
Yeah.
staying. We're not
Yes.
touching those. So those will still be there. And then we have the 3 benches that Xiaoying had circled there once you get into. Like,
Right, into the park.
yeah. And I did want to just address the one other thing you said about the trees on the hill. Once we do the borings, we'll see how deep the rock is. I think the reason why a lot of the trees on the hill have died is because there's not enough soil. There's rock like right underneath. But we'll see if
Yeah.
the borings come back to show that there's enough soil depth for trees. We'll definitely look at adding some more trees there. But like I said, I don't think so. I think there's going to be very shallow rock there.
Yeah, okay, that would not surprise me. I think that answers all of my questions. One other thing actually, and I think that this has been addressed is,
I think they froze again.
Yeah.
You froze out
I
again.
think Kat,
You froze, Deb. What was that?
you froze. Wait, we have trouble with vehicles coming into the park because it's a roadway essentially between 2 ends of Sedgwick.
Yeah.
So I think you had something in the revised plan to address that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
we
we're
can
gonna
show
put-
it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that we're gonna look into putting removable bollards, right,
Yes.
Tara?
Yes.
That's what we.
Yes.
We didn't
Exactly.
show them on the plan yet. We didn't have a
Right.
chance, but
Right.
we definitely can do that.
Right.
So what, I'm sorry, you froze again. What did you say?
Removable bollards.
Removable bollards.
Yeah.
And could you really show just where the bollards would be? That was the one thing I wasn't sure about.
Xiaoying, could you do that?
It would be right there in the entrance. Yeah, where you.
Right at the very,
Oh, probably,
at the
yeah,
very-
probably
two.
between the two piers, may, oh, no, that's,
Yep.
the gate is there,
The
so
gate.
yeah,
So
That's what
just,
it
yeah.
is.
yeah.
And then I think the other big concern of the community was the closing of the walkway during construction. Do you want to address the compromise there?
So we're not definite yet, but we're going to try to, at least during the building construction, because that doesn't have as, big of a footprint that will be under construction. We could put the gate inside so that the main entrance can remain open. And then they would just use flagmen whenever trucks are going in and out. And then for the playground construction, we have to look at a little bit closer because we'll actually be reconstructing the entrance pavement and all of that also. But maybe for at least part of the time, we can leave some, so the entrance open. But then for at one point, it will need to be completely closed to reconstruct that area.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, Deb, to try to maintain safety during construction and keeping the access, that entrance open. So once we have our site visit, we will be able to, discuss that further with the contractor.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you can do to make that possible, because I know that I heard from the folks at the pre-K on 238th Street, where they don't use the playground because the mats are a little bit too dangerous for the kids, but they use the green area kind of just before you get to the dog run, and they come in through that entrance, so it wouldn't really be feasible for them to use the park when they can't access that, because they'd have to go all the way around Sedgwick to get to the other side of the park. So in addition to just people trying to get in to go to the dog run and the basketball courts and all of the stuff that's in the middle of the park. So we can maintain that 4-foot corridor for most of the time, that would be really helpful.
We can try.
Yeah, we'll see. We have our constructability review once we get into the construction drawings after the schematic approvals.
And you'll know.
So then we'll know. Yeah, but we will do everything we can.
Okay. Any questions from the committee about the plan?
I have one question. The boulders that are there, how often does the park department trucks come in? Is it once a week? Like they're gonna have to remove that?
What do you mean?
Like the boulder gonna block any?
They're bollards.
Oh.
Yeah, that bollards.
Yeah, so it's just like a pipe that can be removed that the truck can drive through.
Yeah, it's not a boulder.
I think she
No.
said boulder.
Bollard.
So I see Joe is unsuspended himself or unmuted himself. I mean, that is one question: is how would the if the bollards don't happen until you get to the actual walkway itself, then the Parks Department could at least come in to use their trucks or whatever to get to the restroom.
Yeah, and they're removable. They're removable bollards, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have a lock on it, and then we could just unlock it and come in. But we do our best to not go in the park. I know it doesn't, we have to go in more often than we'd like to, but we do our best to not go in. But the bollards won't affect anything. Operation, we'll get in. Did they freeze again? Did I freeze?
I think they froze.
Yeah, they're not even here.
Oh, they got booted?
Yep.
Anybody in the room will have any questions?
Oh, you guys came back.
Yeah, you were frozen there for a little bit.
Yeah, you were frozen too, but we assumed that that's because you agreed with us. Is there anybody online who has any questions, who would like to raise their hand? I think it's all Parks folks. So, all right, so then.
I think there's a question.
Oh, you have a question, yeah.
Would the bollards help divert the ATVs that ride around there?
We don't have, it's more of e-bikes and I think they would go between them.
Yeah.
So that would be my assumption.
Too bad.
Yeah, but that's what we
area.
see in Beck Portland Park, you know, the,
Yes.
like, they just go between bollards.
Heavily magnified bollard.
Yeah.
I worked in that area a long time and geology is really spectacular. And I'd just like to say something in favor of Belgian blocks. I think they're great pavement and part of our history. That's it, nothing to, you know, nothing, unless they can use them with, they were going to have the
So this,
play area.
so the,
I'm sorry, Deb,
yeah,
can I just jump in?
yeah, Joe, go.
And I totally understand Belgian blocks are beautiful. Just keep in mind that they are extremely hard to maintain. We don't spray anymore. And eventually the weeds start coming through and they're very hard for us to maintain. Just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. That's all. I know they're beautiful, just not the
And
easiest to maintain.
Yeah, the other thing too is that this park has been kind of identified by DEP to try to retain more water because this is one of the highest parts in Kingsbridge Heights.
Yes.
And it's all stone, as you can see, so it doesn't absorb a lot of water, but it can absorb more. And so that's why there's such a focus on trying to create all of these retention areas, is because if you're on Sedgwick Avenue on a really rainy day, you'll see water just flowing down Sedgwick, and then it goes,
I
it
worked
makes
over there.
yeah, it makes its way right to the Deacon. And so we've been working with DEP to try to keep more water in, and so I actually kind of happy, as much as I also run the parks group that takes care of this park and I don't need more perennial beds to take care of. I am still kind of happy to see the use of more permeable surfaces to absorb more water up there for sure. So, but I hear you, Belgian blocks is really beautiful. So, you know, it's a trade-off for sure. If there's not any more questions. What?
I was just gonna say, we're not gonna do too many, you know, perennials, more low maintenance shrubs.
There's
kind
no
of-
such thing as low maintenance shrubs, Tara.
I know.
That's
They're
that.
less maintenance than perennials, at least.
Native.
Yes.
Well, so if I wanna do a resolution, so we'll call to a vote. I just did a draft one, but it really is pretty basic. Let's just pull it up here. And if you could send us the new revised version so we could attach it to the minutes, that would be great. Yeah.
The flagpole around it, would you guys consider like maybe a hopscotch design for the kids? Or like maybe a slate, like a chalkboard slate with like, if they're gonna be around it, it'll just be like interactive for them?
Yeah, but I guess the question would be, where could we do that? We could do that over in the social area, and it could just be kind of a graphic in the pavement that that can, you know, coexist with social gathering and parties. Would that be a good place for it over there?
I think so, yeah, I think, you know, the kids, like, you know, the old school imagination, hopscotch, things like, just to incorporate, that would be really cool.
Okay. I'm happy to.
Thank you. So, and then listen to the feedback. And then present to the revised plan. And therefore, the Bronx Community Board 8 approves the amended design.
Yeah, I would even say presented the revised plan and which was discussed at the meeting. You know, some modifications were made even then. Yeah. Well, they've been very responsive.
Yeah, they've been wonderful.
And open to feedback.
Nice plan, okay. So then I'll, is all those in opposed to our resolution? All those abstaining from our resolution? All right, everybody supportive, okay, unanimous. So I wanna thank you all for being so responsive and working with us. I know this was the Community Parks Initiative project, so not only did they take the feedback back from our last community board meeting or last committee meeting and this committee meeting, but that also from community input sessions with folks who lived in the neighborhood. So so thank you for all of that. I think we're gonna have a really, really beautiful park. I look forward to you know, a few years from now, seeing having the construction be over and see all this wonderful work. So thank you again, and thank you for being so patient with our internet tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we move on, I
Oh,
just want to say for anybody who doesn't already know, and I know you mentioned this, Deb heads the group, the Jerome Park Friends and Neighbors, that do the volunteer maintenance work in that park. So thank you, Deb.
Kudos.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
We're,
you.
we're out there every Saturday from 9 to noon. So if you'd like to come join us, there's some very low maintenance perennials that you can help with our maintenance. Hey, Joe, one question before we move away from the Fort Independence Playground
Sure.
is that the lights are not on. The lights have been off for about three weeks now. And I sent an email, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have, I'll have them do a light outage and we'll put it into DOT.
Okay.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
thank you.
the path lights through?
The
Oh, lost you.
path lights work from the dog run to
You just cut like in and out and in and out and in and out.
the path. Every single light from the basketball courts to Giles is off at night.
Okay, all right, I'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
You got it.
All right. Thanks again, everyone.
all right.
Have a good night.
Thank
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, so our next agenda item is a request for lighting in the Sid Ogarton ball field. We'll put these things away for a minute. Let's see. This. So, where to begin? So, when last we met, well, I guess for folks who haven't been on the call previously, we have the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League has come to the committee to ask for support for lights to be installed in the Little League baseball field in Sid Ogarton Ball Field, which is next to Vinmont Veterans Park. The main reason for this is that the fall season is abbreviated because the sun goes down, particularly around daylight savings. And so it's easier to put lights in the park than it is to get daylight savings reversed. So anyway, so we'll get to what I would like to do. So we had 3 people speak in favor of and 3 people speak against last time. And then also the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League spoke, and then also the Vinmont Homeowners Association spoke last time. So what I would like to do this time is that we had a couple of homework items that I went and did. So I want to give you an update on where things landed with homework items. And then I would like to have, if there's 2 people who are opposed and 2 people are in favor who did not get to speak last time, have them speak. And then I would like to then have the Vinmont Homeowners Association, give them an opportunity to say any last things. The North Riverdale baseball folks, if you have anything you'd like to say. And then I would just like to kind of bring it into the committee just to check, to see where everybody's at and what we would like to do next. Does that sound like a good game plan? Okay.
Can I ask
A point of order? Yes.
Question. So because how we found ourselves here is there's a possibility of funding from the state. And they needed an estimate from Parks, and Parks said, well, we don't want to give an estimate until we get approval.
Yeah.
So the vote here today would simply be to put it out of committee to a vote for the full board.
So this is a great question, because this comes down to also how does funding work and what the heck are we doing here, right?
And then is it a vote to allow Parks to give an estimate? Because we don't.
Let me just answer a couple of questions first. First up, the Parks Committee does not really tell Parks to do anything. Parks is a city agency, and the mayor tells them what to do or not to do, and their own borough commissioners and commissioners and borough commissioners, and they have their own priorities. That said, the role of the committee and the community board is to work to identify where there's community needs. And so we kind of work a little bit as a conduit. In this particular case, I think that the committee and the community board had considered this in the past, and it was contentious. And so I think on the Parks Department side, they wanted to say, okay, let's bring this back and have a conversation with the community and make sure that whether the community does support it or doesn't support it. Like what's this kind of, we are able to kind of provide a forum for the community to kind of hash out these things and to listen to each other and to figure out what to do next, right? But at the end of the day, all that the committee does is say, we live in the community. We met with all of you guys. We're all neighbors. We all live in this community together. We heard from the folks who support the lights. We heard from the folks who don't think it's a good idea. We went back to the Parks Department and said, what's possible, what's not possible, try to find a middle ground. And then we put together a resolution or a letter that says, we agree and support these things, right? Whatever the committee agrees and supports. And then it would go to the full board. And then the full board would read it and say, okay, yeah, we agree with these principles of like, this is how we would like it to happen. And they just basically provide guidance for the agency who don't necessarily live in the neighborhood. They don't necessarily know what's needed and not needed. So, but at the end of the day, the agency determines how much scope, like that would drive cost, what types of units, who the general contractor is, how far they want to go. Like they just don't want to go and get not bids, but they don't want to do cost estimates and site visits and put together kind of an estimate of cost when to turn around and have the community say, wait, you know, they asked for it, but we don't want it. And now we're all talking to the Riverdale Press and we're upset. No, the Parks Department doesn't want to be in the middle of that. They want to, you know, do good things that the community wants by and large. So, does that answer your questions? Like kind of, because we're not experts in lighting, we're not experts in any of that, and that we only have a limited scope essentially, which is just to kind of take the temperature and say, is this something that the community needs? Is this something that the community wants? And is there a way to make it so that it works for everybody? Or, you know, where can we find that middle ground?
Could I comment a bit on the process?
No, because I want to get to going with the meeting.
But it is a question, no.
Do you have a question?
No, it's not exactly a question, but it is a clarification for how you started this conversation. And I'm the person who wrote the letter to you.
Which letter?
Oh.
Which letter?
About how this problem could be solved without.
Yes, I don't, but so I'm gonna stop you right now because I wanna actually move the meeting along. I know you'll have you've already, I think, did you get a chance to speak at the last meeting?
I did, but I didn't know what their proposal was.
Right, but I have to spend this on you.
I don't really want to argue with you.
I cannot
We
have
should be given the
people.
opportunity to respond to their proposal.
You have to stop for a second
Okay.
here. I'm the chair of the
No, you
committee. I can't have
I
everybody,
totally agree.
I can't have everybody
I totally
talking,
agree.
quickly lose it. So I want to, I think we've kind of, that, I just want to set the table work of like, is that the right groundwork, to set the table of what it is, where I gotta let people in the room. Speaking of table, they gotta let people in the room. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear about the role of the committee. So what the committee does is we do put budget priorities together. So that is another thing that we will do and we'll be doing in January. So if there are other baseball fields or there's other things where you're like, this park needs more money for XYZ, we're a great resource to come and talk about needs in your community and we want to hear from you. And so do please, wait, somebody's talking. There's my participants. Here we go.
Wow, that looks.
So we do want to hear from you. So, you know, in January, February, we'll be talking about other budget priorities. And then we advocate for those budget priorities during the regular rest of the year. And so if there's stuff on your mind, please come and talk about it and let us know. So to get back to this, so my homework was to just get a better sense from the 50th precinct of whether one of the concerns with the lights was that there would be a lot more kind of foot traffic, there would be a lot more people dropping off kids. And so the question was, is this going to make double parking a lot worse? And so we asked the 50th precinct and that's not gonna be here. We asked the 50th precinct and the 50th precinct came back to us. We said basically in the spring, there's games currently that go until about 8:30 or so because there's light. Are there problems that we should know about and we don't want to recreate in the fall? Because essentially what the lights will do is the lights will allow the fall season to be same as the spring season in terms of hours of usage. The 50 said that they really didn't have any issues, that they didn't have any concerns about the lights being there in the fall. They did say that, you know, there's double parking issues on Moshaloo. And so it would be good to recommend that the parents, that the league make sure the parents are, you know, not double parking, they're dropping off kids, or kind of figuring out a plan to move people through. So that was the advice from the 50, and that seems like that just makes good sense if that's a concern of the community. The other things were kind of more about the leagues being like at capacity and such. So I'm just going to read to you the questions we asked for the Parks Department and then kind of what their answers were. So one of the things we asked about was the active Little Leagues in District 8. How many of them are there? I didn't know, so I want to know. So currently there's the North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League, there's the South Riverdale Little League, and there's the Kingsbridge Little League. So those are the main 3 that we have, along with some smaller youth baseball and softball organizations. And then these 3 all are the primary users of district ball fields. The district currently, the district's current permitted activity is predominantly youth-based, as opposed to adults or high schools or middle schools. Public, middle school, and charter school athletic leagues also utilize fields in the district, along with other community-based youth programs. And there is 1 adult league only in our district, and then several high school and middle school leagues. Field capacity and availability. Field utilization varies by site and season, but most fields experience high demand during spring and summer. So they basically corroborated this idea that these fields are very, very heavily used. New York City Parks actively inspects fields to verify permitted use and continues working with leagues to ensure allocations reflect current registration levels and program sizes. Priority for nonprofit Little Leagues. New York City Parks has long maintained a youth-focused approach in field and court permitting. In November, the department finalized a rule change introducing a formal category of not-for-profit youth organization. While this rule does not explicitly guarantee priority, it allows parks to consider nonprofit status when resolving conflicts or competing permit requests. Kingsbridge Little League, you know, how are they functioning? How's that going over there? The Kingsbridge Little League primarily operates at the Cooney Grower Field, which is over on Bailey Avenue. And they have lighting. They're our only field that has lighting in the district. Their permits generally extend to 10 o'clock on select nights. Parks coordinates with them and will continue coordinating with that league to ensure permitted spaces align with the current programming and registration levels. And they have an inspection program. So they didn't seem to think that there was any issues with the amount of permits that they're pulling or that they have additional capacity or anything. The North Riverdale Little League field itself, the league there utilizes nearly all available weekend and early evening slots during the spring season. The field is considered fully utilized, according to the plans.
Which field?
That's Sid Field. And then the North Riverdale are in Kelly Field 5 days a week during the spring, summer, and fall, and Carly Field once a week, according to Parks Department.
That's Carol.
Carol, sorry, that's my accent.
That's a typo.
And then we just asked them about whether the Parks Department had any opinions themselves about the field lighting. They say they continue to pursue expanding sports lighting where appropriate to extend playable hours and meet growing demand. Lighting installations are typically integrated into capital renovations of all athletic fields, While lighting is a significant investment, it's one of the most effective ways to increase field access. The department welcomes community board advocacy in support of future lighting projects. All New York City park lights operate on automated schedules tied to permitted activity and remain off when no permit is active. So it's not in our district, but it borders our district.
Right,
Right across the street.
It's right across the street. And it's got lights.
I know where it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you talked for some time and it stopped when you was talking about the automated lighting?
I'm sorry, Julie, you're breaking up. What were you saying?
You froze for some time and it ended when you were talking about the lights being automated.
I can't hear. I mean,
I think she's saying she didn't hear.
You
hear
yeah, you totally cut out when you said that the lights were automated. So that was a while ago. Yeah,
Okay.
you were gone for a while.
So then to go back for a second, we were talking about Harris Field. And that they have over 20 youth and adult leagues that play there throughout the spring, summer, and fall. The lights at Harris are according to the permit. So if they get a request till 10 o'clock, then the permit ends at 10 o'clock. If there are no permits for the evening, then the lights will be turned off. And then there was a question, where is Harris Field? And Harris Field is on Goulden, it's on Goulden Avenue across from Lehman College. And then there was a question we asked for parks of our new field lights, a capital project. And the Parks Department said this is a capital project and would require funding from elected officials to make it happen. The Parks Department, just for folks who don't know, does not have its own capital budget. And so it requires, unlike say DOT, which can build a bike lane, whether you want a bike lane or not, the Parks Department does not. It has to have funding from can be controlled through a system that they currently have under contract. And as long as the new lights are included in that contract, coordinators will be able to manage them. So they will be completely, the timing on and off will be only by permit. So those were, I think that covers a lot of the questions that we had just practically of like, how do these things work? And so, and then we have, is Valerie still on the call, or did we lose Valerie?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, Galaxy S9.
Yeah, that's me.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions so Valerie is with the Borough Commissioner's Office, and I thought she would be a good person to have here for questions if anybody had specific questions regarding permitting or. I mean, Valerie, do you see a lot of requests for lights these days in the Bronx? And can you give us an example of another field where it has lights?
Well, I think Joe would be the best person to answer that question since he is the manager for Community Board 8. So he would know exactly where all the fields and the lights are.
So Deb, so what exactly what do you want to know about fields with lights? So like you said, we have Harris, we have Kingsbridge.
Harris, yeah. Are there a lot of do the lights generally work as planned? Right? Are they coming off and on according to the permit? Do they get stuck on? Do they get stuck off? Do you have issues with crowds?
Well, Harris is a totally different animal. I mean, that's apples and oranges, right? We can't compare Vinmont to Harris, but We do have a lighting contract to come fix them. They go out, not often, but sometimes we have issues with them going out and we have to go through a contract to get them. Yeah, I mean, Harris gets a little crazy, but like I said, Harris, you can't even compare to Vinmont.
Right.
It's just
Got
not
a
even
lot more leagues.
comparable. Yeah.
Okay, so then, thank you for that.
What do you mean by crazy?
What, Harris Field?
Yes.
Joe, do you want to go into what the atmosphere is like at Harris Field?
It's just you know, people decide that they want to barbecue during a game, or you know, they want to, you know, it's just it gets a little more, you know, it's a lot more adults playing. It's not really a little league. I mean, during the day you have, you know, you got PSAL, you got things like that, but like at night, and then, you know, people don't want to leave because the lights are on, you know, or you know, it's just, but it's so close to the train. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's a totally different atmosphere than Vinmont.
Joe, how many fields are at Harris Field?
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 fields.
Yeah. It's a very big complex.
Yeah.
It's not residential at all.
No,
Yeah.
Just do the parade.
So
it's actually
I'm
right
sorry.
next to Lehman College, and
It's right next to the Jerome Park Reservoir. It's between the reservoir and Jerome Avenue. Yeah, it's right on the other side. Yeah.
That analogous to the number of fields on the parade grounds.
I don't,
No.
Joe, do you?
No, there are 4 fields on the playground, on the parade ground.
Yeah, and then the soccer
The
field.
north end, right, soccer, cricket, right, yeah.
Deb, I have 4 questions on the permitting process in my letter.
All right, so wait a second. So maybe these are questions.
I mean, you want me to read them? I just don't want to use my speaking time.
No, I'll read them. I'll read them. I think this is a question for maybe Valerie. Can you clarify the permit application process for youth groups to obtain permits?
Adult groups is more youth and or adult groups. Are adult groups able to apply for permits for Vidmont, for Sid Field?
So I think what the question is that, currently, North Riverdale Baseball and Softball League is the primary permit holder, right, for this field, and it's a little league field. So is there a risk in the future that if lights are installed, that there could eventually be adult play there? Valerie, is that kind of your question, Laura?
Yes.
Valerie, could you comment on that?
In other words,
I'll-
adult or children.
Joe
groups
can
other
comment.
than
Yeah.
He is the manager.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
So I, you know, like there's no guarantees, right? Like right now, no, it's just a Little League field too. And this is not an endorsement, are amazing for the lights at all. But Jen, the way her and her husband take care of that field is incredible. But like I said, I mean, how far into the future can that be? You know, maybe for softball, it would never be baseball for adults. You know, I don't think there's ever a guarantee. I don't think we can really say there's any guarantees, but as far as I see in the near future or down the line, I don't see adults playing there. I really don't.
But can they get a permit was my question.
Yeah, they would have to get a permit. Yeah, they would have to go through the sporting.
And they can get a permit.
Not right
Well,
now.
they-
No, not right now.
Not right now, I'm talking about when there are lights.
So,
No.
So
It's-
so Joe.
Yeah, so the way it's set up right now is that the Little League has exclusive use of that field. They're the only ones who play on that field. They maintain the field, they cut the grass. I mean, they're incredible. They really take care of that field.
So once there are lights, does that change?
No,
No.
that does not change.
So then there wouldn't be youth or adult groups if that's,
Well, you asked me if there was a guarantee. You asked me if there was a guarantee that at some time in the future, I'm not gonna give a guarantee because
Right.
there's no such thing, so.
So then, thank you, Joe. So then,
Yeah.
Laura, in terms of your other questions here, you're asking about deviations from standard permitting protocol. What do you mean by that?
I mean, right now, I understand it's 10 o'clock at night. that would be unacceptable to the community to
Mhm.
have the lights on and games. And since we're talking about Little League and children, we feel that if this were to move forward, 8 o'clock
There, got it.
would
You're
be,
doing it backwards.
8 o'clock would be appropriate, and I think that if we could all have consensus on something like that, I mean, consensus being maybe not everybody is happy, but they could live with it. Because, you know, the devil's in the details with these things, and it's a tremendous
So,
amount
so I
of
think
noise.
we've
Yeah.
veered away from the question though. So the question that you were having was just about
Address me, what
basically
I mean by
what's your.
deviations from standard to me, standard permitting protocol, from what I understand, is 10 o'clock at night. And so, what is the agency mechanism and who is responsible for enforcement of
So,
timing?
Joe, I have a question for you then. So just to, I think what Laura is getting at here is that what in the, please, when we've been discussing this, it seemed like the 9 o'clock was the very latest, like the kids would be done around 8:30 at the latest for their games if it went long, and that everybody would need to be gone by 9. Is there precedent for being able to set the permit so that the lights go off at 9 instead of 10 o'clock, which is what the norms are at both Harris and Cooney Grower?
So I haven't personally dealt with a situation where we've modified permit times like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if the
Yeah.
field citywide is allowed to be open till 10, then we leave them open till 10. But we can control the lights if that's like, we can set it up so that the lights go off a little earlier. But I'm not sure how that'll work. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem where you're gonna say to the permits office, listen, in the future, for now and in the future, permits end at 9 is what I'm getting. I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess that's possible. I've never really dealt with it.
So what's the process? Is it that something would, because I mean, I think that that's certainly gonna be part of our resolution, right? Is that we want the lights to be turned off at 9 and because it is in a residential community and it would be very tight.
I think
Right.
9 is late.
But so I'm just like, in terms of theoreticals here, that, is it, Joe, what's the process then to get that enforced? Could it simply be that 9 o'clock is, like, that's the top time for that park?
Yeah, I guess the
Period?
league. Yeah, I guess the league would. You would make this request. You know what it is, Deb? I've never had to do this where I don't know how we would put it so that the resolution would influence the ending time of the permit, right? So say the league put the permit in for 10 and then you guys want it for 9, like how do you tell the league it's 9 if the policy's 10 type of thing? So I'd have to
Right.
like get a little more information on that. But then if
Okay.
it was a 9 o'clock permit and we were to turn them off, then we would tell there's someone in the borough who handles the lighting. And listen, just have Inmont closed, just have Sid closed at 9, the lights closed at 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, it's Bob Bender. Can I ask you
Hey,
a
Bob.
question?
Sure, Bob.
Yeah, hi. Right now, as you know, the league has the exclusive use of the field. And it's my understanding that, certainly from the time when I was there, but that's long ago, but even to the present day, that the league, locks the field. It's the league that's responsible for locking the field, and they do lock it at night. And to the best of my knowledge, it's not open until 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
Because the league has the exclusive use, they would be in a position to lock the field at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, the
Is-
league, we have married locks, so we have access to the field if we need to.
Right.
I'll dump clay and stuff like that, but yeah, they lock it when they're done. Yep.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, I'm just, I wanna are there limits? I just wanna get to the end of these 3 questions here and then we're gonna open it up. Are you making a statement or you have a question? So then you can make a statement in a second. Are there any limits to how many games can be played in an evening or week? Joe, do you wanna take that? Is there, I assume yes, because of that's the problem we're having now, is that there's only so many games because the game takes so long and.
Yeah, I mean, it's only one field, so they would only be able to schedule the amount of games they would be able to play, so.
Okay, and I think all of these other questions have been addressed, so I'm gonna go on to then the two people who have not spoken before, who would like to speak in opposition to having the lights. Can I get a show of hands, and I'll let the Vinmont folks pick who they would like? Anybody online? I see no hands online. There's anybody in the room? So Laura, who do you want to have the two people speak for Vinmont?
Oh, well, certainly you could speak and you could speak and I,
Those two, and then you'll speak to finish up?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Dee Dee,
so then-
Well, keep up.
We've got, two people, so that's three, so do you want two? Which two? And then Vinmont Homeowners Association,
That would be me.
that's who?
Well, I want Dee Dee to speak and, you know,
So you gotta pick two,
Let Dee Dee speak for Vinmont and let them speak as. Well, I can finish up there, because people have questions, I heard.
yeah, I mean, people have questions.
people have statements, I think, like, so,
You know, last time the people came and they were not, they.
I know, that's why I'm letting folks speak this time, instead of just having it just be the committee, I wanted to give folks an opportunity, and I wanna give two people opportunity for who are opposed, and two people who are in favor, who haven't spoken before. And I wanted that, and partly because I wanted to make sure, because I know that there were some folks who waited through a very long meeting last time, and I appreciate that, and thank you. But I wanted to, I don't want it to go too long. So, are there two folks that you would go first?
Who wants to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, the floor is yours.
All right, well, you know, you're talking about a little league with children, I believe it's 13 and below. And it's 10 o'clock is kind of late for kids that age,
Agreed.
especially during the week. You know, they have homework, they have dinner, homework, and then to bed. I can't imagine these kids going till 10 o'clock. Especially, I do drive in the area because I live in the area, and I've seen many kids at night. You know, in the dusk, they're with their bats over their shoulder and walking the street. It's kind of hard to see them. The lighting in the streets is for a residential neighborhood. It's not Fifth Avenue. So, I'm thinking that all of this is, if you're gonna restrict it till 9 or to 8 or 8:30 or something like that, it's hardly worth the whole fight. Because you're not really extending it much further in the evening.
Well, it would allow.
Because young kids have no business being around at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So I don't think we're talking about, just to be clear for the committee and for all of us, I think what we're kind of sketching out is that the lights would certainly be off by 9. I think that's kind of, we've got some consensus around that.
Which
And
means
so
that
and that when, wait, let me finish my sentence. And that when we saw the presentation in the fall, it seems like in the fall, in last month, one of the reasons for the lights was really that in the fall, it gets dark very early. And so by the time you get to November and you have daylight savings time, the sun's essentially gone down by about 5:30. And so that it would allow games to happen between 5:30 and 8:30 essentially is the time. So these lights honestly would only be on for approximately 2 months or 3 months, or about 3 or 4 hours during the day. That's my kind of understanding of the need for that.
And who's to say that in the future, we make a deal, but in the future, the deal is broken because there's nobody who remembers the deal. The new board, new people, and suddenly, well, why can't we go till 10 o'clock?
Well, whatever
It's
we
easy to do that because everything's in place.
Yeah, if I may, what we do tonight is for now, you know, as Joe Magnari said, there's no guarantees about the future. But if conditions were to change, you know, there'd be another meeting. You know, you come back and say, wait a minute, this was all supposed to happen where the games are over at 8:30 and the lights are off at 9 o'clock. And let me just finish.
Wait, there's no, I don't want no cross, no cross talk.
If it doesn't, you know, if something changes, all right, we come back to the table and we figure out what happened and why, and what do we do about it? You know, whatever we decide, there's nothing the community board decides at any meeting that guarantees that far into the future, it's going to be that way. But we have meetings every month, so
Right.
that can be. So just to stop, because I don't want to have too much arguing back and forth. Do you feel like you've said everything you need to say? I'll move on to the next speaker.
This is just basically setting the table for future problems.
Okay.
Next, so Laura, this is your next speaker, because I see your husband has his hand up, and I know you got a question, okay. And this is not a rhetorical question, right, Rob? Not an existential question.
Why it's just accepted that the games can't start until 6 or 6:30. For 50 years, they started at 4 o'clock.
That's not true.
Right.
So wait, please. So when you speak, can you please address that? Okay, all right. Did you, yeah,
I have,
another question?
while you talk about the parks, I didn't want, I would like the Parks Department to confirm what was stated last month. That, glare producing high intensity lights are no longer viable options due to new technology. I think that they could address the kind of lights that they use.
So, why don't we come back to that, because I would like to address that in the resolution.
Right, I didn't want to speak about it, that's why
Yeah.
I sent in those
No.
questions, but.
No, I appreciate that. Is this your second person? All right, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Chuck.
Charles.
Charles.
Okay.
Is there no way to get it designated only as a Little League baseball field? I know it's not now, but is there a way to say it is only a Little League baseball field? And the other part was just another question about the start time again. So I think the games are about 1 hour and 45 minutes. That means last game would start at 7:30-ish. And the lights would be out at 9. I know there's no guarantees, but if it's a Little League baseball field, then maybe we can get guarantees.
Oh, so you're thinking about maybe a guarantee of the latest start time?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's interesting. Wait, we'll start, we'll get to it, and we're gonna say.
So can I just say,
Oh, yeah.
comment on that?
Yeah.
The way the field is configured, it can only be used for Little League. You know, the bases are actually set, that Little League dimensions are different from Major League dimensions, which are used in high schools. And the field is set up for Little League. Now, and softball, right, exactly.
And there'd be no chance that they might decide to have a year.
Well, again,
party.
you know,
I didn't hear that.
we're talking about the future and no
I didn't hear
chance
that.
and all. Nobody wants to go down that road because we don't know what the future holds. But what it has been for, 70 years now, a Little League field.
But it's
I
been
didn't know
dark,
that.
so in the future, if there's a light, it's like, well, we'll have a cookout at the end of the season down there or something. And maybe a concert here or there or something.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Bob's earlier point, the Parks Department is really very, very amenable to anything, to any complaints that they're getting from the community regarding this. And so if anything that's happening at this field, the city council members, the state assembly members, everybody is going to be wanting to make sure that it's safe and it's well used and it's in good condition. And if noise is a problem, then it'll come back to the Parks Committee, or it'll go to public safety, or it'll come to something else. Like that's kind of just part of the regular process for noise everywhere, right?
So, Deb,
yeah,
if I could just speak. So the only other request I get for that field, I think occasionally we have a movie night once in a while. There's a movie night there. And then field days for the school. A few schools come and do a field day during the day. Other than that, it's been Little League. So I just to clarify
Lights.
Excuse me?
Lights, well, one of my
Yeah,
questions.
but
on my bullets
pre-lights-
is how
but-
how will the lights change the pattern of the permits?
Yeah,
Will
but
the
light-
lights change? Because they said, I've just heard that, oh no, it's just a Little League field, but I thought I heard earlier from you that adults could also apply for a permit.
No, not
Maybe I misunderstood.
Not right now. Not right now. It's just, there are no guarantees. I think everybody kind of, said that, like, there's no guarantee that, 20 years from now or 10 years from now, they say, okay, whoever's heading the Vinmont baseball field steps down and there's no one that's going to be as involved and they move on, or, there's just no guarantees. You can never make a guarantee. The lighting isn't going to change anything as far as permitting, because I'm not going to let a carnival happen on a baseball field because it's going to destroy my grass. I'm not going to let a festival happen on a, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that I'm going to allow to be permitted or that can be allowed. They wanted to do, the police wanted to do a huge event at Harris Field, and they had their eyes set on Harris Field. But because of the grass and me wanting the grass to stay good for the kids to play ball, I didn't allow them to do that. I made them go to St. James. So there's only a certain amount of events that can happen on a baseball field, and usually it's like a movie night or a field day.
We understand
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So we have that now, we have it every year.
Laura,
Yeah.
stop, please, like, I wanna.
You didn't mention softball, though.
I
adult
just said
softball.
that there's no guarantees that they in the future.
Yeah.
You know, I said
Okay.
that a few times.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, the primary, so the current situation with this particular field is that there's a primary permitted user, that is this one league. And so, and they play little league baseball and softball there. So that is the foreseeable future, but you know, obviously things can change. So do you feel like you got to say everything you want to say?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I just
you
have
have
a question I was curious about.
Yeah.
You have certain money right now to allocate, you went to the government allocation funds for the fixing of the baseball field. As they're saying now, it's gonna be a major capital expense.
So,
So let me I can speak to the,
Okay, so I'm questioning, did you make the same, I mean, obviously there's 3 ball fields available, who might need also capital improvements.
Mhm.
Have they been notified so everyone can compete for the money that's being offered?
so that's not, so the way the capital process works, I mean, that's actually one of the main things that we do here. Is that constituents like these little leagues will go to our city council members and they'll say, hey, we need some help, we need lights because we need to expand our hours, we have many more students than we can possibly help, or we need help with maintaining the fields, or we need help with XYZ. And so they, I mean, for example, the Fort Independence Playground is actually a very good example. The mats in the playground are in really bad condition and children were falling. And the nursery school in particular came forward and said, you know, listen, we play in that playground all the time and the kids are getting hurt. And so the Parks Department was very responsive. Joe's been very responsive to trying to get those mats glued down and try to get it temporary. But it also helped raise attention and kind of increase the prioritization of getting more funding spent in Fort Independence Playground to get those changes made. So if there's another baseball field or little league or anything that needs help, you know, and comes forward and says, you know, we're the primary permit holder of this particular, there's Councilmember Dinowitz, if we're the primary permit holder in this particular spot, and we need lights or whatever, then they would go to the council member, they could come to us, we could add it to our budget priorities. So like the Bailey Playground, for example, it's been our #1 budget priority for many years. We've been advocating for it to get money from the electeds to renovate the whole thing so that the kids can really enjoy the playground they deserve.
Because they're having problems there. This is considered, based on discussion last time, as one of the best fields you have.
It's a great field, but
Right.
they've
Now
got
we're
a
talking
stated
about-
issue.
But you're asking now several $1 million now, it's gonna be allocation in order to redo the whole baseball again.
Mhm.
So now the question is, you have so much funds to pay, to fix, the field's gonna be down for like 2 years. First of all, the justification of the lights we have to question, based upon the field being down for 2 years, when you have other fields that are not in good condition, all right?
So I think
that's
I'm
where
just
it
gonna
is.
stop you because I feel like it's not questions anymore.
So I'm asking a
But,
question.
but
I'm
I
asking-
think
I'm
it's
just wondering-
statements in the form of questions, so I'm gonna move on to somebody who, so next I said that the 2 people who would support it, and then we'll come back around to the Vermont veterans, and then we'll come back, or Vermont veterans, we'll come back to the Vermont Homeowners Association. You have a question?
Information on the lights.
Oh, so I'm gonna get to the lights once we get to the on the other side.
Right.
Maybe you can explain to me.
Yeah, so, so do I have 2 people who are in support? So Nicole, Christy, and Abby, I see your hands are up. Are you in support of this, of lights, or?
In
You're
support.
That was Christy, and
In
Nicole, are you in
support.
support? Is that Abby?
Yeah, I'm using my wife, but my name is.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Ivan.
it's
I'm in
Abby, you have a
support.
you have a very deep voice. Nicole raised her hand first. Nicole, are you in support of the lights? Nicole, is your mute.
Yes. Hello?
Hello?
I think they froze. Oh,
Hello?
not me, right? Yes,
Wait,
I
Is that
vote
Nicole?
support. Yes.
Your support, okay, so you have the floor.
Oh, hi, my name is Nicole, and I am the mom of the two girls play softball at a set. So my daughters play every season, and just like they really like it, and they learn a lot from play this game. And I guarantee you, the game won't late than 9 o'clock. And they were so happy. The other day we have a travel team to the other field. They have a line, and that's the first game they have a line they play, and we ended before 9, and they are so happy, and we win. So that's why we wanted to. Yeah, so that's why, don't worry, we won't have a game later than 9. And
Okay, all right. Is that everything you wanted to say, Nicole?
yes, and I wanted to also say, like, please support this live for the kids, because we can helping them to practice more and get improved, and that's more community, like beginning grow up together. That's really good program for them. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nicole. Oh, I see Daniel. I'm gonna let Daniel in. Christy, you are our speaker number 2 in support of the lights.
Hi, yes. My name is Christy Penalo. I'm actually one of the coaches for for one of the softball teams. I am hoping that they will take into account of us getting light. As a coach who does work, and my kids and myself get out of work at 4. I do work in a school. There is no way in a world where during the fall season I would be able to be at the field to be able to support the players with their batting and stuff like that, the development in the game by 4 p.m. As I mentioned, I get out of work at 4. So the earliest I could possibly make it to the field with commute and making sure that my kids eat prior to us getting to the field would be 5:30. And in the fall season, it's just almost impossible for us to be able to get to the field, get in a good time for them to practice all the things that they need in order for them to be ready for a game, for us to um, be able to compete with the rest of the teams that we do play. So right now in a season where we are playing a game, where we are in a playoff game, and we are trying to get games in during the week, and we want to make sure that we're able to accommodate to all of the parents that possibly like might work until 5. A game that can start at 6 o'clock is more reasonable. 6:30 is ideal, which will allow us to continue to be more competitive, continue to bring community to our girls, and just make sure that they feel supported in this. I think that's the biggest part of all of this. A lot of our girls are growing up together and are in community with this sport. It has helped my 2 daughters be able to feel like they're a part of something, where in other places, sometimes in school where they don't feel that, they do feel this in this sport. So I am for the lights.
All right, thank you so much, Christy. So next I want to bring it into
Question. Is it their intention, I'm hearing that the need for the lights is in the fall, so is it the intention that the lights would only be used in the fall?
I think the intention is that the lights would only be used when they're necessary for games that happen prior to ending at 8:30, and that mostly would be only in the fall. Because of the game starting in the spring, the sun is coming up and the sun is active. Yeah. So Laura, are you gonna speak for the Vinmont Homeowners Association, or will Dee
I
Dee?
think we're gonna share it, is that okay?
As
I'm gonna
long
do
as you
this very
don't double
quickly.
team me.
I'm gonna do it.
I would like Parks Department
Yeah.
to explain the quality of the lights.
I'm not sure, Joe, do you feel
What
comfortable?
do they
if-
use? What?
Have they used these types before?
Joe, do you have, do you feel comfortable speaking to, some of the newer, lights that are used for ball fields to kind of restrict the glare?
I don't know much about that. I wouldn't want to give any misinformation. Yeah.
Well, my thought was this, is that, in this meeting, really all we're doing is saying, you know, like, it's okay for the parks to explore it, look into these lights, like I think we would have to say, we need these lights to be like this, XYZ. And then we say to the Parks Department, go figure it out, right? And then the Parks Department goes and figures out, and then we ask the Parks Department to come back to us and say, once you've figured out a plan, you know what you want, then we can actually like discuss it on the merits. I think that's kind of where we're gonna end up. But then I think that, you know, it's premature to get into specific lighting units or whatever, because we don't really know what's appropriate for the field, or like we have to kind of go off.
I get that, but it
yeah.
was said last month that high intensity glare lights are no longer used because there's new technology. That was said.
Yeah.
And to me, that is very important.
So I'll
thing
say this, I looked it up on ChatGPT yesterday and they concurred. They said that they found several instances where the Parks Department is using these more focused, more environmentally friendly lights that don't cause issues to the side. That said, there's a specific technical term for it, and
I mean, they have to light the field up so that it's like very, very bright, otherwise it's a safety issue for the
But they have
kids
to light the
playing.
field up.
It has to be very, very well lit, and we all know fields, we can see them in a great distance, so of course, as neighbors, we're very concerned about the lights.
Of course,
That's
totally understandable. So, who wants to start of your presentation?
Dave?
First, I didn't hear I was online
Oh,
and I did not hear the presentation.
We left it on YouTube.
Oh, I know, I know, I read it afterwards,
Oh,
but
okay,
so
good.
when I had the opportunity to speak last time, I couldn't speak to what the league had said.
Okay.
And,
Well, now you can.
okay. What I heard is the of those teams that would be eligible to play on SID. SID is only used by younger teams or under age 12 or under Williamsport age 12. And yeah, a couple of those kids could be 13 because the cutoff is August 31st. But it's really a field for younger kids. And so the ponies, the old softball girls, and if you were going to go into the 16 or 17-year-olds, they can't play there. I don't know about the travel teams, that's new, kids pay a lot of money to participate in the travel teams. But my feeling is, having scheduled things, is that the concerns could be ameliorated through scheduling and through more strategic use of Kelly. Now, what I heard was you don't have enough time on Kelly, but you have the league has the first crack at permits for Kelly. There are 2 fields on Kelly, 2 diamonds on Kelly, so it gives you.
You're talking about Kelly Field in Van Cortlandt Park?
So it gives you a lot of it gives you 3 additional places where kids can play, and it gives them strategic scheduling could solve their problems.
When you say strategic scheduling, you mean that the game should start at 4 or
Well,
4:30?
there's a couple of things, using Kelly on the weekends. And there's no obligation in the fall, if you're going to have fall baseball, to have afternoon games and weekend games. You can use a lot of the time on weekends, you can use earlier games. It's not like Williamsport, which makes the Department of Education that I work for look like amateurs in terms of rules.
So I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying, because I know that they are using Kelly 5 days a week in the spring, summer, and fall, so the whole season. You're saying that they should also use Kelly on the weekends, is that, or additional 7 days?
What I'm looking at when I kind of looked at where the permits were, Kelly could be used more by the league. It's not used all morning on a weekend. It's not used every afternoon by the league, and I'm.
You mean
looking at-
afternoon during the
Yeah.
weekday or
Yeah.
during the weekend?
Both. You
Fields
could
at
do-
Kelly aren't even baseball fields, they're softball fields, they don't have any.
Kelly is a ball field. The majors and the minors back in the dark ages played their games there, baseball for kids.
Okay.
And my understanding is the softball league and Nerval Softball League doesn't use Kelly, they play their games in Westchester, which kind of limits. That was said on the video, that it kind of limits the ability for kids to play. So my thought really, and I can.
So
you know,
you're,
spend
what
it-
you're
I
saying
don't
is.
wanna- I don't wanna
scheduling.
take up too much time. And I can give you the charts and all sorts of Williamsport stuff, but kids younger than league age 12 can't play. Older than league age 12 can't play on SID. So there's a bunch of kids that can't benefit from the lights. Better
Right.
scheduling, and there's no obligation if you're going to have fall baseball to play afternoon or evening games. Williamsport wants one game on the weekend, one game during the week. We're between 12 and 16.
I don't know,
games
you're
in the
talking,
week.
just for a point of clarification, who's Williamsport?
Oh, Williamsport is the organizing entity for International Little League.
Does this have anything to do with Sid Field?
Yes, it has everything to do with
Is
this.
this yeah, so the committee has no idea what you're talking about, so I
Okay,
just as
sorry.
representative of the committee.
I'm sorry.
So Williamsport is regulating,
Williamsport
do
makes
they
the-
regulate North Riverdale baseball? No,
Not really.
not really.
It's the headquarters for the Little League, and it's where the Little League World Series is played.
Yeah.
But, we'll let you address the issue, okay?
Of scheduling and, okay, that's scheduling stuff. So you've got, maybe 1.5 more minutes to make your case, so right now, it seems like you wanna challenge them on scheduling.
Strategic scheduling could enable the league to accomplish their goals. The second thing I'd like to say is about the park. I have been
Sid Field
involved-
specifically, or Kelly Field?
Finmont Park.
Uh-huh.
And Kelly, I think we could do better by and give the league more playing time. I mean, let's pay a little attention to the ugly stepsister. But in terms of Finmont Park, anything that you do, and it was interesting what you said about your park and the water, because we have something similar going on, and I've been involved in the park for a long time. Any project that takes place in that park. And if you're going to take power from someplace, you're gonna damage something. And the water abatement that was done for the field is also water abatement that's done for the hill. And there are swales and ways of capturing water. So this, if you're going to have a lighting project and you're going to dig up the field and you're going to dig your way into the power source, which I guess is by the comfort station, but I'm not sure. The caveat really is a lot of damage could be done, and the law of unintended consequences is you may be flooding the field again. And I've been there for 50 years.
So, Joe, would you like to speak to whether you have any concerns about that? I mean,
Well,
think I might
the field, the flooding on the field was fixed we kind of fixed it. So that was there was the drains, there were some drains that were covered that we didn't know were there, that we found them and we took care of it. But with any capital project, right, there's a ton of planning that goes into these things, and all of those issues are taken into consideration, and any damage done to a property, but it's part of the contract that the contractor has to fix it. And they do all these studies, like you just heard with Fort Independence, they do core drilling. They check the area for flooding problems, and then usually the way it works is that when they do a capital project, maybe there's an existing problem that they could kind of take care of, that they could actually add it to the light project to fix another problem. Those are like things that kind of happen with capital projects, but, yeah, I really don't, see any issues with damage. I mean, what just got done? Fort Ford just got done. There was no damage. I mean, Seton Park, they just did the skate park. I mean, the damage is never really an issue.
Right.
Ever.
Is there, so, thank you, Joe. So is there, so Laura, did you have anything you wanted to say, or is Deidre?
The devil's always in the details.
Mhm.
And what I'm hearing is that 9 o'clock is the magic hour. And for the community, I mean, lots and lots of neighbors, we've talked. The community wants the Little League to understand it can't be helped. The screaming and the yelling and the noise, it's all positive, it's all good, it's all part of the game. It's really.
And the
But-
electronic
but-
amplification.
Yeah, there is electronic, announcing who's at bat, there's music that starts before the games. I don't think the people in this room, except for the people who live right there, understand that with the windows closed, there's tons of noise that come in, and we don't complain. But 9 o'clock, games until 9 o'clock. The neighbors, we all said, you know what, we wanna kill ourselves, but we could live with, we have 8 o'clock. Now, I keep hearing 9 o'clock, there should be some compromise.
So I've got so just to address that, so in the spring, because one of the ways I'm kind of just thinking about this is just this is an extension of the season, not a different, going into new hours. So in the spring, do you go until 8:30 or 9, or do you
Yeah, I mean,
end at 8?
it's kind of a curve like this as the sunset goes, but at the height of the spring season, sunset, we don't get stopped for darkness until 8:30, 8:45, kind of at the very height of the spring season.
So what Laura's describing is, and then we kind of talked about this before, was is there amplified sound? Is there amplified music? Is that the case? How do you announce the score?
The score isn't announced. I know that sometimes the parents will have, like, as the game's going on the weekend, they'll have like a radio playing some song before the game or something like that. But there's no amplification kind of in the park itself, because there's no power.
Well, put
Right,
it this way,
so
the
Laura,
noise comes in, the noise comes in through, and I have heavy windows. And 2 weeks ago, I asked, it was Sunday, it was 9 o'clock. I went over at 9:30 and I said, can you lower it? And you did. But I mean, the point is, we know this, in the spring, it's not a problem. We're used to you playing at a certain time. The fear is that it will become 9 o'clock. So for much more of the time, and it won't be enforced. Just because it's written on a piece of paper, a resolution, 9 o'clock, I don't know that the Parks Department can arrange that and it will be honored. I mean, we live with the specter of 10 o'clock.
So one of the things that I think is
And I think 8:30 would be a compromise. In other words, you want 9, the community says make it 8, make it 8:30.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, so one of the things is too, is that this has been going on, and that the North Riverdale baseball and softball, they are already kind of a member of the community. Like all of these folks that we've heard from, the parents and stuff, are already part of the community. So, I'm not feeling myself like there might be a sudden Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde quality to it. Like I understand being afraid of change, because it would mean that there'd be more
But they will
more
be here
hours, but that
keep that promise.
but that they've been keeping their promises and doing a good job, it seems, for years. And so why do you think it would change, Laura, like specifically if from the fall?
Much longer. it will be, as they said, nothing is guaranteed. It could be it's a small field. And that was the other thing, smaller than any other field. Like, why would you like that? But I mean, if we knew that it could be enforced, like a contract, that lights go off at 8:30, I think that that's enough hours for you guys to work with in the fall. And that's what you work with in the spring. You're over at 8, 7:30, you're playing the game. Yeah, I mean, we need to have something concrete, because the board members will not be here in a few years. Your
Yeah.
children will not be playing in a few years. You will not be playing,
Right, we need something written down.
And so
Go
right
back.
now, there is no, like, a paper resolution from the community board does not give us the security that we require. It would have to be something that comes with the Parks Department, that they say we could permit this under these conditions, criteria. And I don't know if that's possible. So we're upset.
Right.
Many
Look,
people, my
can I
neighbors
say
told me that they
something?
haven't slept since this issue started, because we don't complain, because we're used to it. But night lights, night games, you have no idea, and it's healthy and it's normal, yelling and the screaming and everything. In fact, during COVID, I missed it, when it was so quiet. I mean, we're not against the Little League, but it's just, you just take the fact that we never complain or anything, just.
Right,
It's a
so,
very
could I,
I just wanna bring it back to
say
the
a couple of
committee.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the guarantee is that the lights go off at a certain time. That's the best guarantee you're going to get. I mean, the games are not going to go on past whenever the lights go off. And the lights are automated and they will go off at a certain time, and that's the end of the game if the game hasn't already ended. So that's as good a guarantee as you're going to get. We, on the community board, as you know, Laura, we deal with issues all the time that come up, reconfiguring streets, all this sort of thing. What guarantees are there at that point? There aren't. Okay, the guarantees are not built into the proposals that we approve. We do our best, the agencies do their best, and all everybody's saying is something that I think is perfectly obvious. Nobody knows what the future holds. Okay, but when the lights go off, the activity ends. And hopefully most of the games will be over even before the lights go off. That's your guarantee. And as we know, the Little League has the exclusive rights to the field. Could that change? Well, let me put it this way. The league's been there for 70 years. That's all I can say.
So one.
Excuse me.
I wanna then, I guess, move on to the last stage, which is,
I have a quick question. Is there any guarantee that you won't use amplified sound? In the
So-
minutes you said you don't.
so then I'm
But-
gonna, in order to avoid crosstalk.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, during your remarks, can you just address the amplified sound? please?
Sure.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, the stage is yours. I'm sure we're waiting for you.
Yes, I'll try to go through this quickly. So, one, I want to thank everyone for kind of having this process and letting us have our say. I want to go through some of the items that came up. And I think there are a lot of strong opinions, and I think some of the things that were said are incorrect, and I want to correct them. And I don't think they were said incorrectly because anyone's mean or that. I think they feel strongly about it. But I think some of the information they have needs some correction. I know one of the things that was discussed was not a lot of the league, like the number of players. So the really young kids and the old kids don't use the field. And I did an analysis of our registration, and 75% of our registration are in the age range that either exclusively use it or use it some of the time. There was a comment about start time, right? So you don't have to play late, like you can start at 4. And I think one of the people that spoke in favor said, she works until 4. And so she has to get from wherever she's working back. And I know a lot of us don't have the luxury of working until 4. I know I can't get out till after 5. And I think that, if you look at the demographics of North Riverdale, say you go back 25 years, I think in general, the families that you have now, there's fewer single parents or both parents working. are working jobs where they don't necessarily have the flexibility. And we hear it from the coaches a lot, where we try to, when the spring season just starts, so we don't have a ton of the sunlight. So if you don't start a game till 6, you're just gonna end early because you run out of sunlight. So we try to, the first like week or two, we're starting games at 5:30 or 5:45. And these coaches have trouble getting to the games. Sometimes the umps who are also, this is for almost all of the umps, it's their kind of second jobs, and everyone's coming from jobs elsewhere in the city. So I think the families and the demographic that was there 15, 20, 25 years ago, North Riverdale, like anything, it changes. And you have a lot of different families that aren't able to be there that early. And we hear that from the parents, not just from the coaches, but from the parents wanting to see their kids play or being able to get their kids there and to the game. And the ones that live very, very close by can walk there, and some live a little, maybe not in walking distance for a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old. There was some conversation about, and I know, guarantees of what used to be made of that ball field.
Actually, can I stop you?
Sure.
One question. You were talking about the start time.
Yes.
So, one of the things I think the Vermont Homeowners Association is looking for is to try to get it a little earlier. Like,
Yeah.
what's the earliest you can do?
And so I think the way you've kind of couched it, which is the goal is really to try to be able to mirror in the fall what the season in the spring. In the spring, games already go sometimes past 8:30 at the height of sunlight. So it would be really mimicking that. So I think 8:30 would be too early. I think 9 is a good compromise. I think in the rest of the city you have 10, and we would push that back. And I know, Joe said that he thought it could be possible. I mean, having spent a lot of time in the parks permitting system, and I know when you go different parks, you can't just select permits. Like you're limited for each day what hours you can select, and that changes day to day as the season goes on because daylight changes.
Okay.
So I'd be very surprised if there wasn't some ability to change what hours are available. And if that's a sticking point, I would say I think parks could probably figure out kind of how to do that with the system that they have, just knowing the system.
One of the questions, I thought you brought up a good point about like limiting how late the game could start. Because I feel like you can't control how long a game goes. Like some games just go a long time. But if you have, say the latest a game can start is 6 o'clock or like, would that be a better compromise than like everything just has to start by 6?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think,
then every once in a while it might go till 8:30, but then most of the games would be over by 8.
I mean, I think the limiting factor is always going to be the light, whether it's sunlight or the field lights. And I think, that makes the most sense of making sure that if we're having concerns about it, that we work with parks to figure out a way to have, and as they said, these lights, it's not as if someone is going in on the field and turning them on and off. If it's permitted for that time, it turns on and off. So if we can figure out a way to get permitting to 9, and they'll show up at 9, the game's over, right? We don't have to worry about when it started or when it didn't start. I think that, I mean, you talk about, yes, if I said sure, and we do that, what about 10
But
years?
the lights
from
are still gonna be on
now?
anyway.
What about 10 years from now, right? Well, that's the other thing, the lights.
Lights are
still
gonna be
being-
on anyway, because even if you're not
permitted.
playing anymore, because it's permitted to stay online.
So I think figuring out a way to get parks to be able to permit it, as kind of, as recommended, by the committee.
So just a quick question on that then. So Laura, so I think that where we're landing with that is the limiting when the time starts doesn't really help us, because if the game is over at 8, because it was a short game, the lights are still gonna be on to 9, because the permitting is gonna be tied up with the time the lights go off. So if the game ended at 8, is the issue the noise of the game and the people in the parking, or is the issue the lights are on and you like, would you know what I mean? There's an issue that the lights are on at 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
First, in the summer, I don't really hear you at 9. I don't see you playing games at 9 in the summer. Eight o'clock, I do, yes.
Up to 8:30.
Yeah, 8:30.
It'd be about the
I
same.
never see a game going later than that, really.
Okay.
And
That's
that's
good.
why I think the lights should go off then and not even, later. Because it would just encourage, it's still a lot of noise. And if you know the lights are gonna be off at 8:30 and the people will, it helps a lot.
So,
Because like even the article in today's paper, you said you just need a couple more hours of light. So you'll be getting it.
so Laura,
At
I
8:30.
just wanna stop you for a second. So is 8:30 feasible as a time, as a compromise?
What I would say is that currently in the spring, there are weeks where we're going past 8:30. It would be strange to me to have a limit that was earlier than what we're naturally able to do in the spring.
Would 8:30
Yeah,
work
but
then?
it's
Hey,
light.
Laura,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like to have the light shut off at 8:30 when in the spring at the height of, I don't know what the brightest day of it's at the end of May or something like that, as we're going into the playoffs for the season. Like you have lights, you have sunlight such that you can play past 8:30.
Yeah.
Not till 9 o'clock. That you're right. They're never playing at
I
9 o'clock.
never
because
hear you
there's
like
sunlight.
that, believe me.
Right, I mean, I think the thing in my mind is that, like, in the spring, when it's 8:30, right? Everybody has sun, right? Everybody's experiencing it, but when it's November and it's 8:30,
Right, I thought it was
the lights are gonna be on there.
Yep.
And
I
that
thought
is,
this was about the
and that's,
fall.
Laura, yeah, the lights are gonna be very bright right
Yep.
there. So that would be the difference in terms
So
of like,
now.
if the lights went off at 8:30, then
It's gonna
that
turn-
kind of glare and all of the, cause even good lights are gonna not, are gonna have spill, right? You're trying to.
Yeah,
you're
just
trying-
a clarifying question.
Yeah.
How much time does it take to clean up after a game? Because you can't turn the lights off. You need to clean up after a game.
We often.
What'd you say? Like, I'm just curious.
want-
I don't want time.
Yeah.
She's much more involved.
I get yelled at all the time. We will often be cleaning up in the dark.
Okay, and is there
It
light,
takes about a half hour.
like from a safety perspective and from just like,
Usually our
physical
games finish in the dark,
okay, so you.
even in the spring.
So it's just street lights that you're using?
Yes, and we're able to drag the field, fill all the holes, park the field, and have to.
I thought the game was. in-
So is there a world where the lights just go off at 8:30 and then you just kind of wrap up and then that kind of also shuffles people out a little faster?
I think 9 o'clock would make sense again, because in the spring, we're already going past that time, right? And I think the goal, as you said, would be to try to mirror in the fall, kind of what we can do. What we can do in the spring.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to interrupt there to talk about how we're
And I know there was conversation about, guarantees of what the field could be used for. And I don't know if anyone from Parks can kind of talk to this, but again, having spent a lot of time wrestling with the permitting system and figuring out how it works, when you go to permit a field, fields are designated for specific uses, right? So let's say like Seton Field, right, is designated for, it can be used for, because it's a larger field, for 13 and up youth, and it can be used for adult. And Kelly Field can be used for youth this and softball adult and and Vanny. So, and if when you register, you say I'm an adult league, all the players are above 18, or all the players are, you put all that information in. So you cannot get a permit at a Sid Field if you are not youth sports, if you are not 13 and under. It won't let you do that unless you want, right? But if you put the information in, so an adult league currently would not be able to get a permit, or even, not that it wouldn't be approved, they wouldn't be able to even put a permit in, because it's designated as a youth baseball field.
Right.
And that's just how the fields work generally. So unless Parks change, and I would think it'd be difficult for them to change it, because it is a small dimension field, like adults couldn't play a game there, baseball or softball. Adult leagues, right, because it's a small field. And unless Parks at some point went in and changed the designation of that from a youth baseball field, adult leagues would have no ability to, or even leagues that are, high school age, 15, 16, 17, they wouldn't have the ability to even put in a permit because of that. And then there was some conversation about kind of past years and the ability to get in all the games through scheduling different fields. what I would say is, I think what's different is that it's not just that the league has grown, it's gotten bigger, kind of the things that it's doing has grown as well, right? So there never used to be a fall season, right? And the fall season is when we have this issue. And there's also, there was conversation about kind of these travel leagues that I think you mentioned, like people pay tons of money for to do. And so what we've introduced, we call it kind of relaxed travel. So if any parents who have ever dealt with travel leagues, they're very expensive. So your average travel league for just the spring season is going to be $3,000 or $4,000, easily. And these games, a lot of the games are played, across, it depends which league you do, like lower Hudson Valley, Westchester, kind of that area. They have great field, lit fields, and it's great to play. They're fun to play on. And what we've introduced is this relaxed. So we just put registration up for the spring, we call it kind of rec travel, that kids who are doing that also have to play in the rec league. So you have to do both. And our spring travel registration, which is the same thing, they get more coaching, they travel to these other neighborhoods and up in Westchester and play games, sometimes on lit fields. Our cost was $440 for the spring, because most of those travel leagues are for profit. And there are a lot of kids in North Riverdale who cannot afford that. And so it's been pretty cool giving the kids the ability to have that. So there are all these additional things that are happening that weren't happening, 15 or 20 years ago, that I think aren't being taken into account with some of the input that we're getting. And one other thing I want to, and I don't know if you were gonna talk about, there's some questions came up about the lighting in the parks. So we've also had some back and forth, and I had forwarded you some information about the Dark Sky organization, which is it's like a permitting certification organization, not just for ball fields, just for lighting in general. And I think from the back and forth they have with parks, I believe they told us that going forward, the lighting that they put in is Dark Sky compliant. But I would want that verified. But I think that was what was relayed back to us.
I put that in my letter,
Right.
about Dark Sky.
Yeah.
Which is, if you, darksky.org, and they show installations of ball fields where it's, I mean, obviously, there's still light shining on the field, but it's pretty amazing the extent to which you're able to kind of focus it just on kind of the area that's meant to be lit. And so, I think that's something to kind of confirm and make sure that that anything we do is being done in a way that takes all those things into account. But from the conversations that we have like that, because the conversation really was, if this were to move forward, it's not as if North Riverdale Little League would have a say in like the lights that were there. Maybe we could talk to them and make some recommendations. And what they came back to us was like, everything we do has to be compliant with this, has to be compliant with this.
Right.
And one of the things that I believe they rattled off was that because there's regulations now at the city and state level on light pollution and kind of all those things.
Right.
That they're requiring their installs to be dark sky compliant, but I would definitely want to get that confirmed.
Okay. A couple of just foundational questions I wanted to ask you. How many more kids would be able to play if the lights were installed? How many more games would be able?
Might they be easier to calculate games and.
Yeah, games and then extrapolate.
I'm trying to think about this. Easily more than 100, less than 200. Right now.
That's kids?
Yes, that's all the 8 to 13.
How many play now?
Our spring registration, which is the larger of the two, currently is at 375, I believe. And then the fall, and it's not exactly an overlap. There's probably an additional 100, 150 who play in the fall in addition who don't play.
25% above is what you're saying.
How many teams
So about
that
100.
equate to six?
So 125 to 150 more kids.
150, I think, is a good estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some
And then
kids
how many-
play in spring and fall.
How
There's
many
overlap.
How many more games?
I mean, five a week.
5 more games a week.
5 more games a week.
That's about 12 more
And
teams.
then
And the fall season is 8 weeks without playoffs, so so 40 more games
Cause we're still,
Well, the difference would be that you would have weeknight games in the
Yes.
fall, which you don't have now, so that would be
Correct.
Monday through Friday.
so weeknight, yeah, that's actually, I guess, so there'd be so what would be different? There would be weeknight games in the fall. And then you're already playing on the weekends, but you'd play later on the weekends?
No, the weekend would remain as is. We just,
Weekends
we have a
remain
very
as-
clipped fall season because we. Yeah, we would as well. So that would be, so instead of 5, that'd be 7 more games a week, 7 times 8 weeks, 56 more games.
Okay.
Not counting playoffs. Let's say 60.
Is there a temperature that you can't play the games at? Because November is, it's usually snow.
We go through
So-
November.
I'm just gonna, I just wanna stop the crosstalk for a sec, cause did you have anything else you wanted to say? I've got cause you answered my next question, which was how many days of the week would you play? So it's 5 more weeks of games, yeah.
I think that
That's
covers I think that covers everything.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull it back into the committee.
Yeah, but one
So-
quick question to clarify what you said. If they're finished playing and they have a permit till 9, they could be all gone and the lights are still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
The lights go off
Yes.
at
The
night.
lights are automated.
Yeah, the lights would be automated at
One
certain
last
times.
question. If you start in the fall at 6, certainly your games will be over by
Can-
8. And
can you-
my time is 8:30, then I'm saying you should make it the lights till 8:30. I
So
can't
then-
imagine why you would need more. And in the
So
spring.
Laura, we hear you,
Thank
we hear
you.
you. All right, so just to come back to the committee, so what are your thoughts? I've been
Can
talking
I
a lot
say
for
one thing
hours.
before we
Yeah.
just because, you know, there were some questions that came up that indicated, not everybody's familiar with the whole process in Parks Capital Projects. You know, if we vote tonight.
Yeah.
That yes, we do want to go ahead, that starts a process, you know, questions that have been coming up tonight about the lights and how many seasons would the field be closed and what kind of, all of that comes back in the form of an initial design for Independence Park. There had been an earlier presentation of the initial design. There were comments on the design, as you heard, you know, do this with the restroom, what about the plans, what about the flagpole? So what would happen tonight is we start that process with the Parks Department. The Parks Department will now look into exactly the kinds of lights that we've been talking about.
The placement of the lights.
Yeah,
the
exactly,
direction
all
of
the
the lights.
details, right, how long will the field have to be closed? Where's the power source, they'll, you know, they'll do all that research, they'll come back and we'll have an initial design meeting, and undoubtedly. There'll be questions at the initial design meeting that, you know, may or may not change the design. But I just want to be sure everybody understands, this is the beginning of a process, we don't, you know, we don't decide anything here tonight. We have the parameters of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think that also in our resolution, we wanna make recommendations about
Yes.
the types of things we want to
Yeah.
see in the future. with the site.
Just for clarification on
Yeah.
that, so just so I'm clear, is it, what you're saying is that what's being voted on tonight really is just to move this forward to allow parks to actually put together a plan, an initial plan or design, which would then at some point find its way back, and then
So.
that would be.
So normally what happens is
Yeah.
that, with Bailey Playground, right?
Yeah.
We had a conversation, we said, you know, we really support Bailey Playground, we wanna see renovations to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Parks Department says, okay, well, how much is that gonna cost? They gotta, you know, and then maybe a council member will say, you know, I'm interested in doing the basketball courts at you know, Fort 4. If a council member says I'm interested, then the real question they're asking is how much money would you need from me in order to do that? And that's what kicks off the process of them actually saying, okay, what would this take? And then once they don't start actually doing anything until it's fully funded. So they'll go, if you've got some council people or assembly people who are interested in putting this funding forward, then that expedites the next step, which is like, okay, like how much money do they need? And then they'll go back to figure out if they actually have that money. And if they do and they want to commit it, then that's when the rest of it starts to get going. And then they'll come back to our committee, I'm sure they'll go back to the council member who funded it, and they'll say, this is what the plan is. They'll probably, and then will be another comment period.
How long was this project going, the one for the park?
The Fort Independence Playground Park. The Community Parks Initiative funding for it, I think, was announced last fall, if I remember right.
I can't remember.
It was last year.
How about the conversation, how about the whole process?
Well, I think the requests basically started we'll call them requests, they were complaining. The complaining started about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then it got worse as the mats got worse and the nursery schools were really using it, and it was just, and then there was a petition that went around and we got a lot of signatures, and then that's when we got put into the Community Parks Initiative programs, and I think that was really like a year ago summer. So then, so not this summer, but the summer before, and then that program specifically has community engagement. So then they started getting input from community members.
Okay.
And then it came to us. Oftentimes, playground renovations have two presentations. They don't have a community input session individually like that. Strong Street Playground would be a good example where, for Strong Street Parks, the people were advocating to have improvements to that playground. They did a preliminary design, and then they brought it to the committee, and it was much more of a like, this blobby area will be so the design phase normally takes 16 months.
16 months, okay, wow.
But then you've got the design, then the next step is procurement, which is where the Parks Department puts out.
That's the money.
Puts it out to bid.
Wow,
Right,
okay.
they say, here's what we want. They put it out to whoever it is that they deal with, to find out who can do it for the amount of money that they have available. And assuming that, they do find somebody who's qualified, then, it takes a certain amount of time before the actual
So
construction
they
begins.
budget money before they know actually the cost of it.
Well, they go hand in hand. I mean, it's hand in hand, but the point is, this is not going to happen in the next year.
Right.
Okay, we're talking about something that's 2 years, maybe 3 years down the road.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years at most.
Deb, I'm sorry, it's Joe. Do you have any more questions for me? Do you need me for anything else?
You're a sweetheart. Let me just look real quick at old business, make sure there's nothing there for you. Yeah, no, I think you're good.
I'm good?
You're good.
Yeah.
You can go
All right.
enjoy your living.
Go home, get some rest, Joe.
All right,
Good night,
guys,
thank
have a
you
good
for
one.
the-
You got
Have a
it.
good
Have a
one.
good one. All right, bye.
So, but that's a good clarification. Did you have any other questions about that? Cause I think, my opinion is that I feel like we should do a resolution that's kind of about a lot of this feedback that we've taken in. Do you guys have any opinions about, the time for the lights to go off, the 8:30 versus 9?
I mean, it's half an hour for me, and the thing that I'm struggling with is just. It's for the kids, and not only that, like, I'm happy to hear that kids are actually playing outside. That's my biggest thing, I hear everybody in regards to the lights and the noise.
Yeah.
And I understand it, my piece is my piece, I get it. But at the same time, I think we're jumping the gun on a lot of things, we don't know, presuming that there's gonna be concerts and this and that, we can't do that. We have to stop right there, like, it has not happened, and we hear the concerns.
Yeah.
And we won't let that happen, right? Like, I mean, the community's speaking up and on both sides. At the same time, I also feel both sides, if there's any particular park that had lights recently installed, whether it's in Yonkers, Westchester, wherever, and kind of resembles this situation where there's residential type of thing, for us to kind of go out and see how are they handling it? How is it actually affecting them, and how they maybe have resolved it? Cause not knowing everybody's speaking up and saying, no, that's not gonna happen. Yes, this is gonna happen. But if we can go somewhere to see like those type of lights, maybe in the same type of size field, they're surrounded by residential, areas and stuff, just to see it as an example and how it's worked out for them. And what time does those lights turn off as well? I don't know how Yonkers, like how they, but for us to kind of, Joe, where are you? Maybe he has friends, to say, how did you guys handle this? Or maybe even in other parks around, maybe South Bronx or wherever it might have been installed.
Right.
Just to kind of see, like, how are they dealing with it and what times do they turn off as well? Like an example.
Right, I wonder, like, if we did that, if we wait until there is a plan.
Right.
So we know exactly what kind of lights there are. I think then we could kind of compare apples to apples if we wanted to go do a site visit with
Yeah.
parks and say, okay, where are these lights installed? Can we
Exactly.
see them?
Yeah. Commissioner Aponte ought to be able to find out, if there isn't something in the Bronx,
It's gotta
from
be
the other
somewhere.
commissioners.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Alrighty, so we're back. And I think the question was, is there any chance due to global warming for this to run later in the year? This might be the one nightmare that's not made worse by global warming.
We do our best to get that to the second weekend in November.
Yeah.
There's just no way to
Go any further.
go any further.
Well, eventually.
So, I mean, I myself, I think that it's a good idea to support the lights because I agree that I think it's really amazing that kids are going outside.
Yeah.
And that there's but I also, I understand what it's like to have noise and all that. And so I think we need to do right by the homeowners too, to make sure that we can mitigate it so that you don't feel it. It feels like the spring, right? Where the kids are out there, but that the lights are not disturbing. So, is that?
And I heard Laura say that it was last week or the week before, you were saying like you went out at 9:30 and you said something. And
Well, 9:30 on a Sunday morning.
It was in the morning.
In the
Yeah.
morning.
Oh,
Sunday
sorry,
morning.
you said 9:30 and I thought you were talking about 9:30 at night.
No.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I missed that. I
They
was
don't
listening,
play
but
past
maybe not well enough.
They don't play past 8:30. No, it was in the
Oh, okay.
morning. And it was just unnecessary noise.
Yeah.
So the.
9:30 feels.
Yeah, Bob, do you have any comments or anything you wanna
Well,
suggest for the resolution?
I think what I would say with regard to the timing at the present time is the timing of the lights. No later than 9 p.m. Okay, it may turn out that 8:30 is practical. It may turn out that's a little too soon, but certainly no later than 9 p.m. I think that's important.
So then, what I'm hearing is that the Parks and Recreation Committee supports, it's not the installation of lighting at Citro Garden Ball Field contingent on the Little League. I think Little League making drop off and pickup to discourage double parking seems something.
Well, using its best effort.
Its best, uses it.
Yeah, that's the phrase, I think.
Could we add something about noise in there? Like, for example, not using loudspeakers I don't know what your setup is, but like after a certain time, that would be, I live near Van Cortlandt Park and I hear Van Cortlandt Park, even though I'm not right next to Van Cortlandt Park, I'm close enough to hear everything in Van Cortlandt Park, so I'm sympathetic to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to maybe.
Amplification is the word, no amplification.
I don't, yeah,
I think signage is needed, just.
I don't think they're allowed to use amplification.
Can I speak?
Yeah, you wanna speak?
Just to speak to amplification, so currently, with permitting, if you're gonna use amplification, you have to put that in the permitting, and it's generally not allowed. I think the issue that you have is if you're, so on the field, like, there's no amplification system on the field. There's no electricity, right? There's no amplification going on. But what you have is if there's, you know, two teams of kids and their parents are there, if one of the parents is now on the sidewalk and has a radio playing stuff, they're not on the field. They're not, it's not like you're, if you guys know, it's not like you're in a state, you're in bleachers, like you're out on the public sidewalk. So, you know, there have even been times where not at Sid Field, but I know at other fields, like I know one time I was over at Seton and there was kind of stuff being played too loudly and the coaches asked them to lower it down. They're like, I'm standing on a public sidewalk, leave me alone, right? So, right, so I think you have much less of that in North.
Well, this
Yeah,
was,
so then I
this was
misunderstood,
music.
because they were talking about amplification before too, I wasn't really sure, I thought it was on the field.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they did
It-
scores, because usually.
I thought you were
so much.
Just to bring it all back then here for a second, so, contingent on the Little League using their best effort to discourage double parking, so.
Right.
The lighting only being active no later than 9 p.m.
8:30.
And something about dark sky. Like the lighting specifically must.
Yeah, how do we want to phrase that?
Yeah, because I don't know if there's a.
Well, it seems like there's some sort of
Absurd-
compliancy, like
There's-
there's a restriction within dog.
Look up the thing I found in ChatGPT about.
I think you first want to say you want to investigate that type of lighting to actually see if it meets the requirements.
Well, we aren't gonna investigate anything, we'll just say this is the kind of lighting we want.
Or show us what we want though.
And then, well, we want lighting that mitigates the glare.
That's the question.
So then maybe that's.
So it may not be better. You might, you know.
I have
Right.
Dark Sky International, which has an approved outdoor sports lighting program to mitigate negative environmental impacts.
Okay, so that's what we want. We want
That was
lighting
a
that
question
will.
to them.
Lighting that will be focused on the field and will mitigate any light spillover, let's say.
Which may or may not be them, you know.
Field
Maybe
and,
more-
what do you say,
I'd
mitigate?
say mitigate any light spillover
Oh,
outside the field.
yeah,
I can't think of a better term.
Yeah,
Dark sky, it's outdoor sport lighting program, thanks to advances in LED, it's a whole thing on dark sky.
Yeah.
It's dark sky approved outdoor sports lighting.
If I could just add
Yeah.
to that, so they don't make lights, they're
yeah,
just,
there's.
they have like a compliance system, yeah.
Right.
And so,
Standards,
should
right?
I say
They have
like a,
standards.
Yeah,
like
you need,
meets,
there's a certification process that you have to go
Okay.
through in order to be able to meet that.
so dark
according to
sky
them.
standards?
Or, and I know there are several such.
Well, like UL type of thing?
Yeah.
Is there anybody else
So
in
you
your
think,
space?
What if it says something
They
like
said they actually
meets the
have-
latest lighting standards, such as those
Yeah, they do. That's what I'm-
advocated by Dark.
Laura, that's exactly what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think that's. the way to
Lighting, I
phrase
think
it.
That's what it is.
So
It's
you
like,
have-
and they have to basically certify it. That they,
Yeah.
that the lights are gonna work in the way that they.
Those advocate, no, those identified by dark.
Something to the effect that the Parks Department commits to coming back before the community board to discuss the lights. Something to that effect, yes.
I thought at the last meeting, the park department said this was gonna be a capital improvement project, which would include total total remodeling of the playfield?
No, so the way it works is the Parks Department will decide what they want to do.
Right.
So sometimes when they're, when you, like for Fort Independence Playground, we said we don't like the mats, can you replace the mats?
Right.
You can see what they're,
Right,
so they're
I see.
renovating the whole thing, but the reason they're renovating the whole thing is that by policy, when things are over X number of years old, they renovate them.
Oh,
That
okay.
the mats themselves are kind of part of the way the playground equipment is, it's like the playground equipment is built into the mats. And so they, and then we got the restroom because the way the restroom is also old and so they just did the whole thing all at once.
Yeah.
So it's possible they'll go to Sid Field and say, oh, we want to do these other things, but it's also just as possible that they're gonna say, we can save the money, they're taking
Okay.
care of it, we'll just put the lights in and we'll be done.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, they will have to deal with whatever repercussions there are from installing the lights, and there will be repercussions. You don't just put the lights in and everything else stays exactly the same.
Right.
So they'll have to address that at least.
Okay.
But it's a good sign that Joe says, oh, that the runoff and drainage issues have been resolved. Because like, for example, in other parts where they're like, okay, there's a drainage issue, they address the drainage issue when
Some
they're
of
doing
us
the other
remember
thing.
what it was like when, yes, I mean, there was a channel running down third base and all that, and some years ago, they renovated the field for that
Right.
purpose.
There's actually a pond here years ago.
Yeah.
It was actually a pond. That was a pond.
All right, is there anything else you want to add? This is all good? All right.
Okay.
Okay, anybody, I want to call a vote.
Okay.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? All right, I
Okay.
deem it approved unanimously.
We've approved the resolution in principle, and we'll clarify the language before the.
I will finalize the language and send it out, before. So, thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope we've answered all your questions.
Most of them.
Yeah, we'll never answer all the questions, but we got as close as we could.
So,
Okay.
okay, we'll have it done for personal pause while everybody leaves and
Yeah, and then.
move on to old business. Is there any old business?
Well, we are going to discuss the revising the manual, right? The
Yeah.
Parts, because it is out of date. I looked through it and off the top of my head,
Right,
there were a half dozen things I couldn't think.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Again, there'll be a lot more to come. This is the beginning.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. So the date of the full board meeting is.
I don't have. a calendar.
Well, it's 24.
It's toward the end of the month. Yeah, very late in the month.
It is the 30th. Is it?
Yeah.
And also, there are two, public slots for speaking at the beginning of it. One public slot has already been taken by the folks who are opposed to the, lights.
Yeah.
And so, Julie just asked me to extend, because she wants to have the other slot if people in favor of
Okay.
the light. So if there's somebody you want to speak, please just reach out to the board office.
Okay.
And you do have the choice of being in person or being on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's gonna be at Amalgamated, I think, right? They're Atlantic Hall.
Yeah, it's glad it's all.
Anybody can come to the full board meeting, but they're public like this, so you can either attend remotely or you.
Opening up the field to the
It's
community.
the budget priority hearing will be ahead of it as well.
Because it seems to be.
So guys, so we're still having a meeting.
I'm sorry.
So just
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to.
if you reach out to the board office. Yeah, no, totally, thank you both.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. So yeah, so the Parks Resource Guide.
Yeah, Parks
So how do we
Resource.
want to tackle this, I guess is my question.
Well, okay, I guess the question is who lives near which parks? That might be a good way to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you've got all those parks along, well,
Along the
like
reservoir.
Fort Four from the,
Well, Carol lives in the same neighborhood.
okay.
I mean, I think that where I might be useful is with the users groups. I feel like I know a lot of the stewards groups and the local groups, so I could maybe take the users groups to go update.
Okay.
Carol, this got started because there was, we were working on the website, right? And there was something you saw, I'm trying to remember what it was specifically you wanted to focus on with this book.
There was some of the links, I believe, that we wanted to change.
Hmm.
The handicap signage as well, like it just had the name handicap, it didn't really have like the sign on it. There was, I'm trying to recall some stuff, what else was there?
In the book itself? I just mean in the book.
No, not the book.
Do you have one of these?
No, I don't.
I'll go, do you need one?
Yeah.
Let me go grab this on the phone.
And Mary, where do you live? What these parts
I
are
live in
here?
Fieldstone,
In Fieldston? Okay.
but like Seaton, like what parks, I don't know what's in here, what is?
All the parks that are in the Community Board 8 district.
Okay, and then it's like a blurb about them?
There's a little bit of information about them. You
Okay.
know, do they have
Thanks.
playgrounds, for example? Do
Okay,
they- Oh, I have it at home. You know, what do they have?
okay. so
And there are,
some of these
and there are a
these
very limited number that are handicap accessible, for example, I think they have only 2.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely, okay, there's one like on the way to Riverdale Avenue that's handicap accessible.
On the way to Riverdale.
Doesn't it have a handicap
You
swing?
mean Vinmont? I don't know
No,
what-
no,
what
no,
you're
no,
talking
not
about.
that Riverdale Avenue. The, or Johnson, like towards if you're walking from Fieldston, I don't know the name of the park though. It's near, it's like, near, Tremont, like, what's it?
Like the wheelchair
Like,
accessible.
By handicap accessible, do you mean that they have a handicap swing? Or do you mean that you can get in with a
You
wheelchair?
can get in.
Yeah.
You can actually get in, like
Yeah.
Russ
Yeah.
Park, you can't get in,
Right.
Seton
Oh,
Park, you
right,
can get in.
that would make
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, right, Ewan Park, you can't get in.
So maybe-
Stairs,
Yeah,
the stairs at both ends.
yeah.
Yeah, Burrs
Sure.
Park, that's that weird part at the bottom that you can sort of get into.
Well, yeah, so
That's
that's,
not really the park, I
That's-
guess.
right.
That's not really accessible.
It's not
I
really
actually thought about it. I walk my dog there all the time, but you're right.